Hey, lovely freaks, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Hannah.
And if you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like things strange and unusual and true crime, you go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. You can also head down to the description box and you'll see a link that will take you to our Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz.
And all that jazz.
Yeah. So if Hannah sounds a little different today, it's because she's FaceTiming me right now.
Yeah.
And she's not allowed to come to our house because we have COVID. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, my husband and I both, I tested positive for COVID, and I'm pretty sure he had it first because he felt really bad around Christmas. So anyways, we're quarantined till January 4th, so we'll be spending New Year's at home. Yeah, not doing anything. So, but I wanted to bring you guys an episode today. Hopefully I won't cough too much. I've been feeling okay. I just have had a really bad stuffy nose and a cough on and off, so it's not been as bad. But I'm on day 5. I'm either on day 10 or 5. We don't know if I got sick first or if he got sick first. We're not sure. And he's on like day 6. So anyways, this, we're bringing you guys aliens because you requested it on our Twitter. So we're probably going to do more polls like that. So if you go on our Twitter, go ahead and follow us on there. And there'll be more polls that will be up for like whatever you guys like might want to hear about or something like that. We'll give like a couple options. So yeah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm ready. So today we're going to talk about the Zimbabwe UFO incident. Have you heard about this?
No, I probably haven't.
Probably haven't. It has to do with like a school. So we're just going to like dive right in because there's not a whole lot of information, but I think it's really like crazy what all they saw. So on September 14th, 1994, so this is in the 90s, people all over South Africa witnessed lights in the sky. There were flashing, shimmering lights all over the sky, unlike anything they had ever seen. It started around like 8 o'clock, but only lasted for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Then the next night, the same thing happened. So this was on the 15th. Only this time the lights were more intense, but they could still see like flashes of light all over the sky, and no one knew what was going on. There wasn't any like military things happening at that time or nothing like that. So Friday, September 16th, we're still in 1994, something even more strange happened. This happened at a school called Ariel School. So this is a small private school. The school was mainly made up of like farmers' kids because a couple of farmers started the school, and it's a private school. So a couple of farmers in the area, they pretty much did like agricultural stuff for the kids. I guess it was kind of like showing the kids how to farm and things like that. They weren't poor. I mean, these were rich, not rich, but these were upper class kids. What were we going to say?
What year was this?
94.
Okay.
It was in 94. So, yeah. So this was in South Africa. This school was in South Africa. And it was founded in 1991. So it wasn't a very old school. So there wasn't very many kids. There was probably like 100, 160 kids, It wasn't a lot of kids. So most of the kids on this day were outside on the playground. And that's kind of where we're going to start. So on the 16th, around 10 o'clock, most of the kids, there was about 60 of them outside. They went outside. All the teachers were inside because they had like a staff meeting. So obviously if it's like a small school, you're not going to really worry about, having a whole bunch of people outside with the kids. There was one lady out there. She was like a mom, and she worked at like the snack station. So they had like a little snack station outside, and she worked at that little spot. But the playground equipment was normal playground equipment, and there was a fence around the whole entire playground. Obviously, that's normal too. But off in the distance, there was like thick grass, and there was hills and trees further out into the distance. So it wasn't really surrounded by like city or anything like that. Also, most of these kids that were out on the playground were anywhere from 6 to 12, because the school only had from kindergarten to 7th grade, I believe. So there wasn't any like high schoolers or anything like that out there. So the kids started noticing over the hills in the distance that there were flashing lights. They all ran to the edge of the fence to get a little bit closer, and it appeared in the distance that there was a large silver craft. The kids said that the craft hovered around the sky, and there were 4 other smaller objects that were hovering around it as well. The craft came over the playground, so it came over to the schoolyard, hovered there for a minute, and then it went back over around the trees, closer to, further in the distance. It went around to the trees and landed in a field. At this point, the kids said that strange beings appeared out of the craft. A few of the beings were on top of the craft, almost like they were up there kind of looking down at the kids. And
that's really rare for a story of the beings to come out of the craft. That's really rare.
Yeah, and it gets crazier. So they were 2 of them. Some of the kids said that it looked like 2 of them were kind of standing either on top of the craft or near it. Mm-hmm. And then one of the beings started walking towards the pool area of the school. They said that also it was almost like he would walk and then disappear and then reappear ahead of himself. So kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? So kind of like he would walk and then evaporate and then reappear ahead
so
of
maybe
himself.
It was what's it called? Not a telegram. Not a telegram. What is it? Hologram?
Hologram, yeah.
Hologram.
Yeah, like a glitchy hologram is kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
They were so the kids also said that they were about 4 foot tall, so they were not very tall. They had arms and legs though, and they had shiny black bodies and long pale heads. The kids said that the bodies were so black that they thought that they were actually like a bodysuit. And then they also said that they had long black hair and huge black eyes, which is really weird. That's the weirdest description I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's different from other descriptions that we've heard.
Yeah. Some of the kids said that they were terrified, but felt like they couldn't move, almost like they were being pulled to watch, or like they were in a trance. One of the beings then, this part's kind of freaky. So one of the kids said that one of the beings then was closer to them. Still, this is pretty far from the playground, but it's still close enough where they can see everything. And it started hopping back and forth, just really weird, moving back and forth. And it was staring at them the whole time, and it they couldn't look away. The kids were terrified, they said, but they couldn't look away. Yeah.
That's funny.
It was really weird. So, but where am I? Oh, in that moment though, as that thing was doing that and the beings were staring at them, all 3 of the beings kept staring at them, and some of the kids, probably about half of the kids, said that they started to experience what's the word I'm looking for? Not hallucinations, but visions. So they said that the wind started to blow, and then they started experiencing these visions in their heads, and most of the visions were of pollution and the world ending by environmental reasons, the world was going to end because we're polluting our oceans. Some of the kids, one of the kids saw polluted waters, polluted oceans. Another one said that they saw all the trees on Earth were dead and we couldn't breathe. And they also said that they felt like the beings were trying to tell them that technology would one day, like, be the reason why the Earth succumbs to its demise because of too much technological advances and things like that. This whole experience lasted about 15 minutes. They then boarded the spaceship, and then the spaceship just disappeared. The kids then ran over to the mom that was running the little snack station. They were like screaming, yelling. They were telling her, oh my God, you got to come see. You got to, like, freaking out. She assumed, obviously, that they were pulling a prank because, you know, that's what kids do. But she did say that she told them to go play. And then, like, a few minutes later, they all went inside because the teachers were done. Well, they said that even the little kids, like, even the 6-year-olds were crying. Like, they were distraught. Yeah, like, you know, they were terrified. So, to me, that's a big indicator that this was, like, something that really happened, because why in the hell would a 6-year-old still be crying and terrified from that?
Yeah, unless they're a really, really good actor or something.
Yeah. So they then started to explain what happened to the teachers when they went inside. Of course, they didn't believe them. And then they ended up, like, the end of the day. It was the end of the day, so they all went home. It was the weekend. So when the kids got home, they told their parents, most of them told their parents about this. They told their parents about the telepathic messages, how they were scared. They were still shaken. Several of the parents went back to the school because they wanted to, like, search the grounds to see if there was any, like, damage from, like, if there was a spacecraft, there would be damage in the trees, or like something, like the grass would be messed up or something like that, but they couldn't find anything. So after the weekend, many of the parents wanted answers, because not that they thought that their kids couldn't play a prank. It's just that a lot of the parents said that most of their kids would never lie about something like this. They're not liars. They're not those type of kids. And also, they had, like, severe trauma over the weekend, like, you know, night terrors, crying, things like that. Because if I saw something like that, yeah, I would have...
Definitely.
As an adult, I'd have severe problems.
And it felt, unlike Adeline, if Adeline came to us and told us all that, we wouldn't believe, like, we wouldn't think she was lying. Especially something like that. If it was like, oh, Jimmy has, like, $1 million, I mean, we'd be like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Something like that, especially in detail, too, is just, I could not believe that.
Yeah. So, the principal, once they got back on Monday, the principal made all of the kids write down, like, he would make them come in a room or separate different rooms, and he would make them write down their experiences, which was actually a good idea, because this became one of the most documented, like, looks into aliens and UFOs and stuff like that, because until this time, a group of people had never seen this much stuff and talked about this much stuff in detail. It might have been like one or two people, or, you know, like maybe a town saw some things in the sky, but never this amount of people seeing aliens or beings and UFOs at the same time. So it was a good idea for him to do that. And the accounts for all of the kids were exactly the same once he sat down and he started reading everything. Then eventually several news outlets were coming to report on it. And then eventually, you know, it just spread like wildfire all over Africa. They also had alien experts come and run soil tests. And they also ran like the... you know, we've talked about this before, how sometimes when there's a spacecraft or UFO or whatever, there'll be like, I think it was Skinwalker Ranch, where they would bring the things to like see if they could detect any metals or anything, or any kind of like frequencies or anything. So they did that here. Unfortunately, though, they couldn't find anything. But the woman that was like the head of this alien, like, expert people, she did hold on. Excuse me. She did believe the kid's story, though, after she heard of all of them. So in 1995, the next year, there was a full investigation launched by Dr. John Mack. He was a ufologist, which I don't know if that's like a UFO specialist, I'm assuming. And he was also a psychiatrist. He spent 2 full days interviewing all these kids, and this was a year later, so all their stories still were the same. He also, the only thing that was different was some of their telepathic stories, like some of the things of how the world would end, but that was about it. Like, everything else was exactly the same. So 62 kids in all was what he interviewed, and every single one of them had the same story, the same drawings, all that. So the older kids, a lot of people thought that they were just pulling a prank. Like, they got the younger kids to, like, tell them, you know, we're gonna have this prank about aliens or something like that, and we're gonna tell them all this stuff, which sounds like something older kids would do, but how would you keep them going with it? Like a 6-year-old after like a day is gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, you know,
exactly.
They're gonna be like, yeah, no, I don't.
Right, all this other stuff, like,
yeah. So so that's pretty much it. I mean, I told you this was a really short story, but so even to this day, though, there's still as adults, they still remember. There have been some that have tried to do like hypnotherapy so they can forget, because they don't want to remember it because it scares them. And there's a lot out there that still are like, yeah, this happened, you know, and their stories never changed. And that's the thing. Even when we talked about, oh gosh, what's his name? The alien abduction we did where the guy gets,
I don't remember.
Is it Walton? Walt?
I was thinking it was Walt something.
Something that started with a W. But even with him, like, his account never changed. And the whole Pascagoula, like here in Mississippi, the alien thing, his accounts never changed. So yeah, I just think it's crazy. But that is the story of the Ariel school in Zimbabwe. And the sightings of all of the aliens' activity in 1994. Also, I will say that there was, like, some of the researchers didn't realize this, but they found out that there were tons of reports, aside from the 2 days, you know, we mentioned the 2 days where there were sightings in the sky. There was tons of reports around this time in the 90s of different alien activities and things like that. So a lot of people think, though, that it was that they were meant to show the kids what would happen if we continue down the path of pollution and not taking care of our environment and things like that. Which kind of would make sense if they were showing kids that, because those kids, this is 94, but those kids will grow up, and maybe they can, as they grow up, they can help, you know?
That's the scary part for me of thinking about that, especially because now you can see it so much, because it's like super hot right now.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps getting hotter and hotter. More winters just keep getting shorter and shorter. And you can just tell, like, something's happening.
Yeah, the weather's just, like, drastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and one day, here in Mississippi, like, literally, it's supposed to be in the 20s Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's literally, but it's like...
It's 80.
80
today.
Outside.
Yeah.
Right? And it might snow, and I'm over here like, what? So
yeah,
it kind of, like, scares me also that they're telling them that. I mean, I can believe it.
Yeah. And, like, they were also saying, like, the thing about the technology is kind of crazy because there wasn't very much technology in the 90s. So when the aliens were showing them things like how technology will one day be the downfall of Earth, it's kind of freaky because it's not like it was in the year 2000 or something like that, you know, where they had all these different technological advances and they just continued. So the kids were just, you know, putting two and two together and coming up with that. Some of the kids also didn't even really know what, you know, the environmental side of things. Like, they didn't know the repercussions of pollution and things like that. So there was no way for them to, like, think that up in their minds, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just a really, why? That's the thing that kills me, these people that are like, well, they just made it up. Well, why would these kids go that far? Like, why wouldn't they just be like, yeah, there were aliens out in the grass, and that'd be that? Like, why would they bring up that they were telepathically told these messages of, like, world devastation and things like that, you know?
Yeah, I don't think kids can make up that.
Yeah, and I don't think they would. Now mine might, because she's that dramatic and she can think of a lot of things, but
I don't know. Back in the 90s, there wasn't much about you know, saving the earth and everything. Not as much as now.
Not as much as now. No.
No. Like, especially thousands, I don't remember. It wasn't until, like, maybe when Wall-E came around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All that. And then there was, like, a huge phase where we really wanted to. I think it was when Obama was president.
Yeah.
Because he
environmentally conscious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's the time I could think of that. So I feel like they wouldn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. So the moral of this story is probably, let's be kinder to our Earth because the aliens told us so. But yeah, sorry it's a short one. Like I said, I didn't get much research done because obviously I've had COVID. Omicron, man, everybody and their moms got it. So y'all be careful out there. The good thing about this one is if you're, well, I'm vaccinated, so I don't really know how it would affect somebody that's unvaccinated, but I do know that I've heard it's kind of like a cold, and that's kind of what I felt like. My husband and I only had, like, body aches and chills, like, 1 or 2 days, and then the rest of the time we've just had a lot of snot and coughing, so, but it's all, like, in our throat and stuff. It's not in our chest, which is great, and that's a blessing. So yeah, hopefully you guys be safe out there. Have a good New Year's. Try to stay, you know, maybe do something outdoors. Try not to do something with your family because we actually had Christmas with my family and my mom and dad don't have it, but some other people in our family do.
Yeah.
So, you know, we didn't even know what was going on. We've all been sick for like the past month, but it's been other things and now this. So yeah, we hope that you guys have a great New Year's. Have a safe one. Do not do anything stupid. Do not drink and drive. That's dumb. You know, and drink responsibly, all that stuff. So we will see you guys next time. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter so that way you can see what we're going to talk about next, because we'll kind of put like spoilers and things up like that, or not spoilers, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Previews? Whatever? I don't know. Teasers. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.